Assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope you're all in the best of your health. According to today's lesson planner, we are going to take a new story which is named as This Morning is Our History Test. So before taking the question answers related to the entire story, let me give you a quick summarization. So actually the poem This Morning is Our History Test is a humorous, or you can say a funny story, which is written by Ken Nesbitt. And it is related to those children who keep notes in their coats, sleeves, and sometimes socks, so that they can cheat in their exams. So the writer is telling us about a history test, which is a kind of a tricky and a tough one. So he says that the children spend more times on making these cheating papers and different guides instead of learning the whole test by themselves. So in the story, what the writer is telling us, he's telling us about one of the child who comes to the school well prepared for his exams, and he's not even worried or anxious about his exams. Why? It's all because he knows that he has all those cheating papers with him so that he could cheat in the exams. So in the end, what happens that as he approaches towards the guide so that he could cheat up, or he could simply fill up his test, he cannot even read anything, and it's all because he has left his glasses at home. Obviously, it's a simple story, but it has a very deep message, and that message is that it's never a good idea to cheat in an exam, because cheaters never get success in their lives. So one should study well instead of cheating. Now to sum up, we can only say that one should study well instead of cheating in an exam in order to lead and get success in his life. So this was our today's moral lesson, or a quick summarization of the story. Moving towards our question answers now. So the very first question is that which items of clothing did the child write notes on? What were those things that were mentioned in the poem? What were those things that the child was writing on? And the answer is that he wrote his notes in his coat, inside his socks, and possibly on his sleeves too. Our second question is, find two phrases to show that the child has written the note in such a way that others will not able to read them. So we are going to find two different phrases that will show us that the child was the only one who could read the notes. So the first phrase in the story was the only I can understand, and the second one was that in secret code. Third question is, what emotions does the child usually feel before the test? So in the story, we're going to see what was the emotion of the child before he was about to give his history test. So the child says that he is not worried or scared about his test, and why? It's all because he had all those cheating papers, so we can presume that he is least anxious about his test. So he was least worried about the test because he had all those papers, or cheating papers or guides with him. Second last question is that why can't the child read the notes? What just happened in the end? And the answer is that the child cannot read the notes because he has left his glasses at home. And the last question is that, is it a good idea to cheat in exams? What should one do instead of cheating? And the possible answer is that it is never a good idea to cheat in exams, and one should study well instead of cheating during exams. That's it. Moving towards question number 3 now. Question number 3 is, answer the following questions with reference to the context. A text has been given from the story or from the poem. That is, inside my coat I wrote my notes, including dates and famous quotes. So the first question related to the text is, list 5 different topics that the notes were about. So we are going to write all those 5 topics, or there were more topics in the story, but we will figure out 5 different topics that the notes were written about. And the answer is that the notes were about dates, famous quotes, buildings, people, and they were also about other places. And our final question for today is, which phrase from these lines is repeated elsewhere and where has it been used? And the answer is that the phrase dates and famous quotes in the poem has been repeated, and where it has been repeated, it is repeated in the final stanza, in the last stanza. So this was our today's lesson that was related to our new poem, which was named as This Morning is Our History Test. I hope you understood everything. Thanks for watching.